Hi all, welcome back to another video. I'm Victoria and I'm back with another video for you today, and surprise surprise, it's a Theo video because we love Theo around here. Anyway, this one is going to be about Jim Gaffigan gives Theo advice on finding a wife. I'm not sure if Theo is in the market to find a wife, but either way, let's just watch.
So your ideal woman, let's put it out there.
Okay, let's put it out there.
Yeah.
I would say she has nice eyes, like kind of caring eyes.
Like eyes. Oh, warm eyes.
Warm eyes.
Yes,
Okay,
because
that's
that
good.
is true.
It's important. It's important to the kids, too.
Yes, definitely.
You know, you don't want some cold-eyed, freaking slithering broad.
I love when he does
You
the
know,
teeth thing.
serving muffins to your children.
No.
Oh.
So warm-eyed. I would say hardworking.
Hardworking. Sense of humor is really important.
Work ethic
sense
is
of
good.
humor, or the ability to laugh. Even being able to laugh, though, is also like having an inverse sense of humor. Like if somebody's a good laugher, I think it's just as... It's almost better than a sense of humor because at least they're having the joy, you know.
By the way, the hard worker thing I think is really key too.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife is a very hard worker, and that's great because then you can do less. No, but it is. I mean, we have a similar work ethic. We enjoy working. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say working. I'm not saying like, hey, let's go grab some construction shifts. You know, it's like, it's fulfilling for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and life's hard work. It's like if you want to stay in a marriage, it seems like it's a lot of like if you really want anything to work, you got to do it.
You have to be consistent. Yeah.
How?
And I mean, I definitely agree with what they've both said. Funny, I didn't really consider eyes as an important thing for me, but then I met my husband at school, so I just knew I wanted someone who had structure and who was sensible, someone who was sensible and thought about and considered the future more so than the present, and someone who was just like-minded. I think it was just the best friend more than anything. But yeah, no, being with someone who has a work ethic and understands when things need to get done and actually executes them is such an underrated trait. But I definitely agree with what they're saying so far.
How tall?
How tall? I would say anywhere probably 5'6" to 6'1".
Okay. And how tall are you?
I'm willing to go on the outlier side with the height. I am 6 foot.
But you wouldn't care if she was taller.
I don't think I would care as long as she didn't do little things to me, like probably pat me or something like that.
Or call you shorty.
Yeah. Or say, hey, give me that little wiener. Things like that.
And what about do you want her to be younger than you, older than you?
I would probably say younger than me. I want her to be able to bear children if she wants to.
Yeah.
But then I got to make sure that I'm in a good space too. I don't want to be some philanderer.
Right.
And I don't want to be a man who's peeking over the fence and, talking to the neighbor's wife.
Right.
And I don't want to be...
you shouldn't be neighborly. You shouldn't be talking even to a neighbor. No, but you're saying, so you want to also be mature. You want to be to the point. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be doing any more, I don't want to do any more conniving or any, I want to, I just want to be locked in.
Yeah.
Did you have a point where you were like, was it scary for you when you were like, okay, I'm going to get married, this is it? Did you have your mom, who dropped you off to go ask your wife? Would you drive over there, or how did you do it?
I was, my mom dropped me off. No, I was at my brother's house. We used to go back and we'd go to Indiana, and then we'd drive through Chicago and go to Milwaukee, where my wife's from. And my wife and I, we had this agreement that she was going to tell me when she was ready to be proposed, because, the whole, you don't, there's no risk. You don't want them to be like, no.
Yeah.
You don't want you to process no.
Yeah.
So, and we had talked about it, we had dated for a while, and I was at my brother's place, and we were smoking a cigar in his garage, and I said, I tell you, if I had a ring, I probably would ask her. And he goes, oh, I can give you a ring. I'll give
Oh,
you mom's old ring. I used it, and you can use it. And I was like, oh. And so then,
You're really on the spot.
and I was like, all right. But, again, I had also kind of made that decision. Do you know what I mean?
Right, so the decision had already been made.
Yeah.
right. It was
You know
just
what
a
I mean? It
matter of
wasn't like, oh,
timing.
my brother told me to do it, so I did
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? So, and then we went up there, and I knew that I kind of wanted to surprise her. And so I did it right in front of her entire family. She's one of 9 kids, and we had done opening
that's a lot.
presents. And I had asked her dad for permission. He was like cooking in the kitchen. He's kind of a great guy, but like at that point we didn't know each other that well. So he was like taking something out of the oven. I was like, hey, I'd like to ask your daughter to marry me. And he's like, yeah, okay. And so then we were opening presents, and all the presents had been opened, and then I did it, and it was.
Did you feel nervous? Did you get down on one knee?
It's well. I think as a comedian, there's so many. There's so many awkward situations we go in.
That's a good point.
Where you have a show where you eat shit. You have a show where you do okay, but you can tell half the audience thinks you're a moron. You know what I mean? So like, it was awkward. It was nice, but I'm also, these watershed moments for me are, they're not nearly as important as like, the moment where I feel like I really connected with my wife. Like my child being born, there was, it was special, but it's not as special as like, the time when you take a walk with them.
Right.
I
with me.
definitely
You know what I mean?
understand
Yeah,
him.
there's
Yeah,
like a
I
real
get it.
connection.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like,
Right, those are kind of just built-in tentpole moments that are kind of almost, I don't want
Yeah.
to say old-fashioned, they're very important.
Yeah.
But that it's not like, it doesn't mean everything.
Yeah.
for me, if I'm
Yeah,
being
it's
honest.
a good point. I think it's a really good point for
Yeah.
everybody. We put all these it's almost like we put these kind of like tyrannical, like
like
emotional
markers.
attachments to these moments, even though they might not be there because times have kind of changed. So
Yeah.
having a wedding these days, which is really just a huge party that takes so much planning.
I
which
say
is
this
more about the planning than it is even
all
the
the time.
vows.
Yes, and the unnecessary stress.
No, Theo makes such a good point, as well as Jim. I've been with my now husband for 12 years. Like I said, we met in school and we went through university together, then, lived together and then bought our first house and everything like that. And we got married last year. And, everyone sort of bangs on how a marriage, like, is, the wedding. But actually, and I always said this to my now husband, that our relationship isn't necessarily about the wedding day or anything like that. Yes, it was a marker, but if I reflect back, I wouldn't say it was the most beautiful, most important day of our relationship. Absolutely not. Some of the times I felt the most connected with him was when we were doing mundane stuff, when we were talking about our future, going on walks, when we literally had nothing and all we could do was just talk and really connect and laugh at silly things. So I definitely resonate with what they're saying. I think things like the wedding and all that stuff, they are societal markers, let's say. And sometimes I notice this with I don't know if it's just my family, but when they're like, they almost disregard the years before we got married. But to me, those were the fundamental years. Without those years, we wouldn't be where we are. But a lot of the times if let's say, I say, oh, we've been together for this many long, and I didn't really say, oh, we've been married a year. They just focus on the years that we've been married. Like, they focus on the point at which we are married to present, which is very bizarre to me, because it's like all those years prior are just as important, if not more important. So yeah, I understand. And I always said, we didn't really have a traditional wedding in a sense that we didn't do it in a church. It was just an expensive party more than anything. It wasn't super long, but it was very much us. So yeah, I deeply resonate with what they're saying. Let me know if you feel the same way.
Oh God!
Put on,
And the sangria,
yeah.
all these,
Yeah.
a
It's just
lot
like,
of
oh my
these.
God, the bread was wrong. It's
Yeah.
like, who cares?
Who cares, dude?
Just
Right?
literally, just have fun.
Who cares? She's pregnant.
anybody-
That's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah, does anybody mention that? They should have a vote at weddings, like, should we do it or not? And people have to really vote.
That's funny.
Wouldn't be a bad idea, would it?
I mean, a silent, and because it's also your loved one, so it's a really harsh thing. And you shouldn't be able to open it until the next day.
Oh.
It's like the vote came in. Huh. Well, it's like a Rotten Tomato score.
Wow.
Like, as long as we get 80%.
Yeah, that's it.
But you're like,
Yeah.
43%.
Yeah.
That's not good. But what the audience score say?
Wow. It's reminds me of Shrek.
A lot of old tropes and misdirected plot twists, but
A lot of people don't believe in me. They think I'm gonna cause the
But
disaster.
your family should have a vote. Should have a vote. I feel like because you're bringing that genetics into your gene pool.
Well, yeah.
It feels like the family overall should have a vote.
Well, there's
No.
also something that happens where I think it's probably different in different cultures and different family cultures, but you kind of get absorbed. I feel like the men get kind of absorbed into the woman's family.
Yes.
Much more than the woman getting absorbed into them. I mean, obviously
That's
there's
a good point. Hope you enjoyed that video.
Interesting. The last point they made, it's actually the opposite for me. I think I have been more absorbed into my husband's family. I think because they just took our relationship a lot more seriously from when we were very young. They were very for it. Whereas my family were very quite conservative in the sense that it was education first and they didn't really. Yeah, so whereas my family were a lot more conservative and didn't take our relationship that seriously up until really we got married. And because of that, I just felt a lot more supported by my husband's side, and I was really integrated, especially because we're from very different parts of Africa. So he's Southern African and I'm West African. The cultures are different. I went to visit the country. I was just quite interested, I would say that, and I felt that there was openness, and because of that, I just kind of went all into it. And I think growing up in the UK and being from the tribe I am in Nigeria, there aren't many people from my tribe around, and there's a bigger Zimbabwean population, so I've just always been around that. And obviously my husband actually has a bigger family, so it's a lot easier for me to sort of get a little bit more engulfed in it. But yeah, that was quite an interesting perspective, and I'm sure it tends to be, the other way around, like he said. I think it just really does depend on the culture and also the family. But let me know your thoughts on that. I like these sort of videos because they're ones I can really add to and share my own take based off of my own lived experience. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.